Good afternoon, Flosstube friends. It is October 3rd, Sunday afternoon, very sunny and warm day here in Texas, and I'm so glad to be back to visit. I have that fully finished object that I promised to show you, and 3 WIPS and some very lovely stitchy mail that has come in. This won't be a long video, I don't think, today, but I promised to come back once my fully framed object was ready, and we got it back from the framer and could not be happier with their results. Also, just wanted a quick update on things around here. Hope that all that you are dealing with is going well and that you're finding time to stitch. It is fall. I cannot believe it is October. September flew by. I'm not even sure where September went. We have several September birthdays in our family, and so those have passed, and here we are looking at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Don't even want to think about that. So let me start with my WIPS, and then I will show the framed object of which we are so proud, and then we'll talk a little bit about the gifts that came in the mail. So the last time I spoke with you, I told you that I had done a little bit of work on my pandemic, which is long dog samplers, and I had been inspired by my friend Mary, who is making beautiful progress. Well, I have what I've done to show you, and I also have some frogging to show you because that had to come into this. You know that I'm doing this in the variegated DMC, which I never remember to bring and tell you the number, but now I'm pretty sure it is 121. This is all one floss, very variegated. So we had talked about this bird sitting on this small motif here. You can see I finished most of his motif, and this is where my frogging has got to come in. I'm not sure what I did wrong there, but I've begun pulling that out. I worked to get this diagonal finished so that I could go in and do the rest of this design. And maybe since I've seen you, I put this in, I cannot remember. I know I did more of the border, just a little bit more of that. This piece is always fun to stitch, and I'm not exactly sure what caused me to have the problem there, but I love seeing that motif almost finished under the bird, and I really love seeing this meet up all the way down. So now I'll be filling this in, finishing the problem here, and then as I said last time, I think I'll just be working down page 6, which is this here, and then I guess that would move over to page 7. Such fun, but a long time project. This won't be finished quickly. Again, it's on hardanger, and am I doing 1/1? Yes, 1/1 on hardanger. So you'll see it again. This will definitely be in my stitching during October. Then I decided to pull out and get a good bit of work on Sweet Home by Owl Forest. And I always speak of this as a stitch that has given me no problems and all kinds of fun. You can see that design, hopefully. All that makes for a happy or a sweet home. And of course in the middle is the needlewoman stitching. And then you see all the things that we enjoy within our homes. I had a small panic last week as I was stitching, thinking, where can I put books? There are no books in this design. But then when I looked more closely, if you will look, you probably cannot see, but on this little shelf by the chair, there are some books. I was quite happy to see that, because we can't have our home without books anyway. So on this one, I have done a good bit, and I'm going to push on through with this one because this would be such a fun finish. So when you were seeing it last, I was working on this motif. It is now finished. You see the teapot, and then up under we have added the shelf, and then the little kitchen shelf, and what you're seeing in process, let's see where I am here. Here will be a tall, I guess you'd call it chest of drawers. So this section will be finished when the chest of drawers is finished, and there are some little yellow hearts right under here. But this is the top of the whole design. I hope you can see that without something holding behind it. Our colors may not be as good as they could be, but such fun. And if you look, let me do this. I think this sewing machine is one of my favorites of the whole thing. And the cute little birdhouse with the garden boots. But then, of course, the lady stitching. And if you remember, her face and features are 1/1. And then the cute little dog. Can you see if I be still? The cute little dog. So much fun on this one. And this will be the size. So the whole bottom section is what will come next. And then the house part around the edge. Let me show you. Here we go. So we will have this circle motif, these here, and then the border, which is like the walls and the roof and the floor of the house. I hope you can see that. Is that focusing? So pushing through with that one because the colors are cheering. It's a lovely stitch. Last video, I told you that if I got a finish, I would start my first Hands Across the Sea sampler, which is the old Scot. My husband had gifted this to me several years ago and then had added the lovely silks as a gift. Well, I didn't get a finish, but I started this anyway. If you remember, I had bought Winter Moon fabric from the Stitch Niche, and it is not the fabric that is called for, but I really like the way the silks look on the Winter Moon, so I'm very happy with that. Let me quickly show you one of the silks. I've shown them to you before. Excuse that zipper. So here's the beautiful Soie d'Alger. This is the red. And 1/2 on 36 count. They're stitching so beautifully. I am using a shorter length per some of the ladies in the Needlework Guild, and I've not really had a problem with knotting or anything. And I did have to frog a little bit on one of the vine motifs. It came right out. So I'm being extra careful and I'm keeping my hands clean because I know we can't wash. But this is my progress so far. Let me see, I want to get that cute bird in there. So this would be considered the top of that motif there. Oh, we need more light, don't we? I may have to turn on another light, people. But look at how much. So that is the whole floral motif on that side of the sampler. Can you get an idea of those colors? They are the funniest flowers. One of my daughters said they looked like amoeba, and she was correct. That was before I had gotten the center into that one. But just had all the fun putting those beautiful silks into this beautiful fabric. Now you can see the colors. It's getting overcast. So from here, let me see if I can get a little closer. I am going to have to go turn on another light. If you look at the bottom flower, you can see a very unusual combination of colors. But I think in the whole scheme of things, it will be a lovely lovely design. We know it will if it's Hands Across the Sea. So from where I am, where am I? So here's the little bird. And then I went over here. So the next thing I think I will do is this bird and then work down to the house. And remember, we think, or they think, that this is Linlithgow Palace in Linlithgow, Scotland, which is the main reason we chose this Hands Across the Sea. So I think I'd love to start the palace. And as you know, there are some specialty stitches in this design, but I'm planning to follow her wonderful instructions. And if I start the palace, it may call me to go over here and try some of these beautiful colors in the border, but we'll see. This is going to lead me to wanting to stitch other Hands Across the Sea, and I do have several of those in my stash. Let me get my big, beautiful, fully finished object. If you remember, several birthdays ago, this Rosewood Manor was my birthday gift from my husband with the hand-dyed fabric and beautiful Valdani threads. And the one that I chose to do with my friend was Summer Quakers. And it's been finished, it's been finished a while, but we decided to go ahead and have it framed, and it is hanging right inside our front door in the entrance hall. People, if there's a fire in this house, God forbid, I think I'm going to grab this. So here we are. Can you see? Oh my goodness. So I'm going to turn it, hoping that light will catch it. It is a plain gold frame with a little bit of, I guess you'd say it's a antiquing, but let me try to hold it. There we go. Maybe that's getting us some light. We decided against matting because it is such a busy design. But all of these colors are represented in our living space downstairs. So we are so happy to have it framed. They did a really fabulous job. We took it to Hobby Lobby and had a long conversation with the young lady who took our order about framing needlework, but she assured us that she had experience. Then when we picked it up, we met the gentleman who had done the work himself, and he said he spent a lot of time getting it straight and lined up the way he knew we would want it. So there we are, Rosewood Manor Summer Quakers. Now before I put it down, I'd like to see if I can show you, I don't know if I can pick a favorite motif in this piece. They were all so much fun to stitch, but I think I'm going to focus. This is a tough one. I don't even think I can. This big motif here was a bear, just a bear. But look at how it turned out. So colorful. I do think if I can hold it down here. Okay, I'll be careful. I love the blues, of course, in this flower. I would not have thought that I would pick this particular motif, but the way that the Valdani shades in those leaves and in this flower just made this a fun part of the stitch. So there is my Rosewood Manor, and someday I will order the other seasons, but it will have to be when I have caught up on my stash. So I do have permission to share a sweet gift that was sent me by Nicole Buckeye Stitcher. She and I both love to read, and we have communicated back and forth about good books And she often recommends books for her grandmother. Well, my taste is very similar to her grandmother's, which does not surprise me. But Nicole messaged me that she had a package she wanted to send me. Could I share, or did I feel comfortable sharing my mailing address? And this doesn't happen a lot to me, so I was thrilled. And I said, of course. So I emailed her my address. Well, not many days after, this book came in the mail. And if you have not seen this or read it, and you are a book lover, you must find it and read it. It was written by Christopher Morley. Here's a lovely picture of him on the back. But it is a true story. It is also a love story about loving books, and also a love story between this gentleman and a woman that he meets as he drives all over the country with his bookmobile, selling books. So Parnassus on Wheels. It is short, as you can see. I read it in one sitting because I couldn't put it down. Wholesome, just Americana in a book. So I do highly recommend this. Nicole, thank you. Thank you. I will be sharing it with some family members, but it will have to come back to live on my bookshelf because I feel sure I'll reread it many times. So Christopher Morley and Parnassus on Wheels, the traveling bookstore. Very, very lovely day that day when I read it. And then my friend Mary Cat Stitches, had a giveaway, and I entered, of course. Well, I don't know very many giveaways where there is a, what would you call it, consolation prize. But I didn't win Mary's giveaway, but there was a consolation prize. And I was touched and thrilled to receive an ink circles, and it is Cirque de Triangles, and I know that's not the way that should be pronounced. I believe the chart that was the giveaway prize was Cirque de Circles, but I've never had ink circles before, and look at this design. Mary, I am thrilled to have this in my stash, and it will definitely be a start before the end of this year, because after communicating a little bit back and forth with Mary, it was decided that your colorway possibilities were just endless. So I have been thinking, what would I do with colors for this? I'm not going to do another monochromatic because I've done a couple of those, and I have one in the works that I need to pull back up. Not ink circles, but another design. And one day I had worn this scarf to work. Guys, the more I looked at this scarf, the more I thought, this is my colorway. This is what I want to do with my ink circles. And I'm sorry it's so wrinkled. But okay, you know that I love this blue. This is a gorgeous, almost purple. There is a lavender. And we even have, a gorgeous royal blue. And then if you look from, this lighting, guys, I apologize. But if you look from a distance, look at the beige. Could I even let that be my fabric? Look at those colors. I can just see this design done with those colors. And as I was looking, I have not pulled my DMC yet, but I think a lot of these colors are in that lovely collection I acquired several years ago when they released the new threads that are the early numbers. One of them is like, well, it's in the 30s and below. And when I was looking, I want to say that the lavender in that little design is one of the 30s. So I can't wait to pull that out and find some colors. And then I asked my artist daughter if she would pencil in for me on the design where each color would go, because I am not good at flying by the seat of my pants, so to speak. So I would need to know what color to do the borders and then how to distribute the inside of the design. But this is going to be an art project for me. I cannot wait. So I've got to decide if I want to start with the beige fabric and add the colors, or if I want to start with a light blue fabric. I think I'm going to start with the beige and add the colors just the way the scarf is laid out, as many of the colors as I can find. Won't that be rich? So I'm excited, Mary. Thank you so much. Now, before I sign off, I need to talk briefly about some things that have been happening here that I have not been comfortable to share until now. And maybe it will just encourage you all that when things happen, they do work out ultimately, and you just have to keep pushing through. Our oldest daughter and her family were planning to move earlier this summer to a new state because the dad, her husband, had gotten a new job, and we had been helping with packing and boxes and all of those things. And one Saturday morning, I had gotten up, dressed, had things packed in my car to head up. It was about an hour, 15 minutes away from where we live, where they used to live, to help her with some packing and to see them again before they left. So I'm in the Kroger gas station. It's not 5 minutes from my house. And I'm pulling out of the gas station. I'm at a red light. I'm the first person at the traffic light. My light turns green, and I am about to cross the intersection going straight to head out of town, out of where I live, to head up north to where she was. Guys, I didn't make it across the intersection. I was going about 15 miles an hour because I drive like a granny, and I had gone from stop to cross the intersection. And the next thing I know, it's like this explosion, and my car is pushed diagonally across the intersection. It was like your worst nightmare. Airbags deploy, the whole thing. Come to find out, a man coming this way as I'm going this way had run his red light. And he not only ran his red light, but he was going very, very fast. And so we hit, but he hit the front of my car, and both of us, because of that impact, just all the way across. This is a very busy intersection in our town. I've never had that kind of accident before. The first blessing that I need to say is I was okay. I have some soft tissue injury, and I'm still dealing with some of that, but nothing that is permanent. But the first thought I had, because when the airbag deploys, it's like there's smoke, I thought, oh no, the car is on fire. So my first thought was, get out of your car. And we were over toward the edge of the intersection. I was able to get my purse, unbuckle that seatbelt, and get out of my car. And by then I'm sobbing and walking to the grassy area. Well, guys, long story short, there were many witnesses, and some were kind enough to stop, to reassure me, to call the police, to stay with me until my husband could get there. Of course, I had to call him to come. Then we had to call my daughter to say, you know, your help's not coming today. And of course, that concerned her. It was not a Saturday morning I'd want to repeat. But I'm just now feeling calm enough to talk about it because it was just that traumatic. I ended up going to the hospital, but I waited a couple of hours. We went home, and you know, after you go through the whole thing, and they checked everything. So I'm very grateful to know that everything is okay. But my poor car that I was quite attached to and had paid off and had just gotten cleaned up, gassed up, ready to go, was totaled. So we're, we have a new car. I mean, we had to go select another vehicle. That didn't happen for weeks because the whole process was so long. Well, guys, I guess that cloud was still over us because 2 weeks ago, we wake up on Sunday morning to go out to take the dog out, and we were about to get ready for church. And the gentleman across the street spoke to my husband and said, somebody has hit your daughter's car. And in the night, that Saturday night, not a month after my accident, someone had plowed into her car, which was parked on the street where it was supposed to be. So we have car debris all over the street, hit and run. So we call the police. We're standing in the street early on Sunday morning dealing with that. So now my daughter is without a car. Still hasn't heard whether hers is totaled or not. The blessing is, though, that the hit and run ended up coming to our door or later that day, young woman, to say that she was the one who hit the car, and so we are able to work with her insurance. But oh, what a process, what a lengthy process. And because of COVID and because of all that has been going on in the last couple of years, you cannot get a rental car. They are hard to get. Fortunately, my husband is retired and is able to get my daughter to her school teaching job. She had a Grand Caravan for a few days. That was the only rental car she could get. But that's a big vehicle for a young woman to drive, so she turned that back in and is relying on other transportation until she hears from her car. So it has been an interesting couple of months. But it's okay. She wasn't in her car. I wasn't hurt. What do you say? What do you do? But I just had to share because I know it happens to all of you, or probably has, and I'm rather old for this to have been the first time this happened to me in such a serious way. So I'm grateful for that. But on a more positive note, work is going well. We have been with the students now all semester, so we're going into almost our third month, or well, it'll be the second and a half month of on-campus normalcy, which is exciting, and a special family event coming up this weekend, so we'll be traveling for that. So no complaints, but just be careful, be safe out there, and realize that you might be someone else's good Samaritan, like one of those people who stopped and helped me, or like the neighbor across the street who walked us through what had happened that we did not even know across his street in front of our house. Just be available and show your kindness and your concern for other people, because it makes such a difference. Hard to believe how much difference it makes. I have talked too much today. I just want you to know how good it is to be back, and hope that your life and stitching and health are all good. Just know that I'm catching up on watching your floss tubes and working on WIPS, hoping to have another finish to show you soon. While we are traveling, I hope to be doing a lot of stitching in the car, so that will be fun and get some time off work. I'll be back as soon as possible to show more progress, and I am taking a couple of books with me, so I'll let you know if I'm going to recommend those. Just take care. Thank you for spending the time with me today and for being a part of this wonderful craft. And take care. I hope to see you soon.